Hi everyone, in this video I'm just going to talk about the mechanics around the beach defensive zone and the beach exit zone, and both of them have some unique mechanics associated. So we'll start off with the beach defenses. As part of the turn, if you've got one of your infantry and there's some Germans there, then you would play your player combat exactly the same as normal. The enemy action in this instance is exactly the same as normal. The player move, this is one of the exceptions, the player can move from the defences to the beach exit even if there are Germans in the defensive zone. So I can try and attack them. Let's just pretend there's no result. The Germans attack me back. For the sake of argument, no result. I can still move in my movement phase and move onto the beach exit. You do not roll on the table for when you move into the beach exit. And I'll talk about the beach exit in a second. If I want to though, I can stay there and I don't have to move if I don't want to. Now, when it comes to the beach defences, there is one other part. So in the same scenario, player combat as normal, enemy action. The enemy will try and attack this counter here, counter A. If they succeed in disrupting the counter, and in this instance here, we have two. So when there's two or more counters, enemy infantry counters, and the first counter disrupts the infantry, the remaining counters will ignore that infantry now, and this is again one of the exceptions. This counter can now attack the one in the beach exit. They don't move, they stay where they are, but they can attack the beach exit, counters in the beach exit. And that works exactly the same as normal. However, there is a modifier. Because they're attacking from a further distance than normal, there's a -1 on their highest die roll. So it's harder for them to basically disrupt counters here. But in this instance here, if there was only one, let's just rewind time a little bit. Imagine there was only one, that counter will attack that one. And that's all there is to it. If there were two counters, and the first counter does not disrupt, and the second counter will attack that one. They need to disrupt this one and any others that are here before they attack the counters in the beach exit. And the reason for that is that as a player, you have a choice whether to try and stall the Germans in the beach defences before trying to move the troops off the exit. So you're basically putting troops in there to keep these busy, effectively. And that's how the beach defensive zone works. Next, I'll talk about the beach exit zone. So in this example here, we've got some British counters in the beach exit. One of them has got the radar parts. And we've got a British counter here. And there's a load of Germans in the beach, same amount of Germans in the beach defences. Okay. So as part of the turn, there is a phase that is relevant to us now. And it's actually the last part of a normal player turn. For the most of the game to this point, you've not had to consider or worry about this phase. But now we have to turn the phase into action. And what we're going to try and do, what the British are trying to do, is to get the Navy onto the beach and get the British off the beach whilst dealing with any Germans that are trying to stop them. So the first thing you will do is you're going to roll to see if the Navy appear on the beach. And to do that, you send up the flare. There's a little counter here for the flare. And you'll also be using this player aid. Now, actually, I've just printed this out a bit of card. This will be part of the main player aid itself, and it'll have this section on it. So we send the flare on the beach, okay? And then we roll 2 dice, and we need to get an 11 or 12, so not much likelihood of the British Navy turning up onto the beach, okay? And there will be that round done. Now any subsequent round where you're trying to get off the beach. You don't need to use the flare again. Instead, you move the beach counter onto this segment here, and it gives you a +1 to your dice roll to get off the beach. Well, for the navy to turn up, sorry. So the first round, and the first turn you send the flare, you need an 11 or 12. And then you go through the player turn exactly as normal. You'll be fighting these Germans. They'll be shooting at you. They'll be trying to shoot here while you're patiently waiting, desperately waiting for the navy to turn up. At the end of that next turn, as it were, then you'll move on to a +1. And you roll your 2 dice again, and you need an 11 or 12, but now you get a +1. And the second, if they don't turn up, the second one, you need a +2. And then the third time, you need you get a +3. So the best chance you have is an 11 or 12 with a +3. So if you get a 9, for example, 9 +3, great. The navy have turned up. So as you can imagine, you're going to have to probably wait a few full turns before the navy will turn up. And while you're waiting, you probably find let me put them on the board, you probably find there'll be Germans moving down to those beach defences, coming down the Bruneval Coast Road especially, to try and reinforce this area here. So there's a tactic, there's a choice you have to make as the player to learn how to best stack your odds to get the most chance of success in waiting for the navy to turn up. And this is exactly what happened this is what happened in the history. There was a desperate, it felt like ages for the troops on the beach to wait for the navy to turn up. Now when they've turned up, you still haven't got on the boats. So let's suppose as part of that phase to see if they turn up, we're on the +2, and Lady Luck shines, and often with a lot of military actions, there's a fair chunk of luck is required, and we get a 10. Well, the 10 +2 is 12. That's great. The navy have turned up. Now what we need to do is get our troops off the beach. Okay. To do that, it's not over yet. They actually had some difficulty sometimes getting on the boats. They were coming under fire. To do that, you roll 2 dice, and the highest number is the number you need on your morale roll to successfully get onto the boat. So let's say, for example, this counter here has got a morale of 2. Roll 2 dice, 4 or more, you're on the boat. This counter here may have a morale of 1. You need a 4 or more on a dice to get on the boat. You can, if you have any left, you can use your bravery points throughout all of this. So if you want to re-roll to see if the British defeat the Germans in the beach defences, you can. If you want to re-roll to see if the British can get onto the boats, you can. You're not re-rolling on the beach because it doesn't use one of your tributes. You are re-rolling on the morale to see if you can get off the beach. And hopefully what you'll find is that this part of the game is incredibly tense and time can't go quick enough, basically. And that's exactly what I wanted these game mechanics to simulate. This idea that you're waiting on the beach, you're coming into a lot of fire, the Germans are getting closer and closer to you. They'll probably be piling into the British defences. It is going to be tough. This is not an easy win part of the game. It's very difficult. It's deliberately designed to be very difficult, and it simulates, that part of the story, of the history of the Bruneval raid. So good luck. But there are some tactics you can use. So by having some defenders back. Now let's say use this example. The Navy's turned up. Great. You've got all these 3 squads off. Great. You've got the radar parts. Maybe you've got the prisoner, etc. Now, unfortunately, in the history, as I recall, some of the British airborne did get left behind. However, in this game, you can get your remaining squads off in your movement phase. move them, and then in the the next part you can roll to see if they can get off as well against their morale. And whilst they'll probably be coming under fire from Germans, and you can there's no time limit. You can keep doing this until you either succeed or until they are unfortunately meet their end. And of course, the Germans will be moving up and reinforcing. They'll be rolling a lot of dice. So hopefully that gives you a broad overview. This will all be detailed as with everything in the rulebook. And as I've said before in a couple of videos, I am prototyping and still play testing. So the rulebook will always trumps anything that I say in the video. So if the rulebook says one thing and I've just said a different thing, follow the rulebook. And thanks for watching as always. Thank you.